had a dream last night, Saiko. The images of which still haunt me. In the dream, I had no head. Well, I had a head, but it wasn't my head. It was a cup. I had a cup for a head. A head cup. And then I woke up. I don't know what the dream meant, but it did inspire in me a few cup-related questions. Like, where would my brain go if my head were a cup? And if it rained, would I need an umbrella? Or could I simply let the water collect in my concave dome? These questions plagued me, Saiko, and I figured the best way to learn about cup-headedness would be to play Studio MDHR's amazing video game Cuphead, specifically their DLC titled Cuphead and the Delicious Last Course. The premise of the game is simple. Cuphead and his esteemed drinkware-headed brother, Mugman, are on a quest to save the legendary chalice from the astral plane. Apparently in this universe, one can travel to and fro from the ghost world by simply eating tasty treats. Yes, Saiko, bananas are tasty, but in this game the treat in particular is called a Wonder Tart. Don't be sad, it could have bananas in it. Tarts can be made with all sorts of stuff. So let's say it's a banana Wonder Tart, okay? Now back to the game. Eating the Wonder Tart that has bananas in it would bring the legendary chalice back to life and out of the astral plane permanently. However, in order to make this most delectable and delicious treat, the cups must find the 5 missing ingredients the head patissier, Chef Salt Baker, needs to bake the tart. Delicious Last Course does not stray very far from the original Cuphead formula. There's a beautifully drawn world map to explore, a few NPCs to interact with, and of course boss fights. But unlike the OG Cuphead, Delicious Last Course does not have any platforming levels. It would have been nice to have at least one, but the epic boss battles more than make up for the absence. There are 5 bosses you have to defeat to complete the main story. Each one protects a different ingredient needed to bake the Wonder Tart, that now has bananas in it. Every boss has multiple forms you have to battle through. You progress from one form to the next by delivering a lot of damage. And if you happen to lose, which you will a bunch of times, the game displays a little progress bar to show you just how far you went. It's a nice touch and can be encouraging when you see that you were only a smidge away from victory or that next form. The variety and difficulty of the boss fights walks that line of challenging and infuriating, in a good way. All the frustration you build when losing over and over turns into joy and pride when you finally take them down. And the skills you pick up mastering one boss fight levels you up for the next. I had a lot of trouble defeating Glumstone the Giant, the first boss I tackled, but I knocked out Mortimer Freeze for the last ingredient in only a few tries. If you find yourself stuck on a boss or just wanting a different challenge, you can break away from the main storyline and take a stab at the Royal Tourney. It consists of 5 different challenges that specifically focus on your dodging and parrying skills. Parrying being the very useful, but often difficult to pull off move of hitting the jump button right before making contact with a pink object. Most of the tourney bosses have patterns that are pretty easy to figure out, but knowing what you have to do and actually pulling it off without dying is the real challenge. And like the story bosses, each tourney boss is unique and oh so satisfying to defeat. Once you've collected all 5 ingredients, you can make your way back to Chef Salt Baker's bakery to have the Wonder Tart made. I won't spoil exactly how things end, but it does involve another boss battle that's more elaborate and chaotic than any of the other fights before. But the skills you've picked up to get there should be enough to let you come out triumphant, at least after half a dozen tries. If you're curious as to which boss is the toughest one to defeat, the ingredient bosses or the end boss or the tourney bosses, I would say none of the above. The hardest one, in my opinion, is a hidden boss. Yes, there's a secret boss you can unlock at most any point in the game if you figure out a little riddle involving the Mountaineers and the cemetery. I'd like to say the riddle was clever and fun to solve, but honestly, I ended up using brute force and trial and error to crack it. And even after looking up the solution on the interwebs, it still didn't make that much sense. I think they could have done a better job of it. However, the boss fight it unlocks is quite fun, and frustrating, but again, in a fun way. I recommend completing the main story before attempting to fight this baddie. The skills you'll pick up and perfect along the way will be necessary to win. Cuphead in the delicious last course looks just as beautiful as the original game does. The 1930s design aesthetics coupled with the hundreds if not thousands of frames of animation bring Cuphead and his enemies to life in ways most modern games with cutting-edge 3D graphics still fail to do. For a game to be extremely difficult and yet still be fun and not feel cheap, it needs Meat Boy levels of player control and pixel-perfect collision detection. And the delicious last course, just like its predecessor, delivers on both. One can say that it's just more of the same with nothing really new added to the game, and you know what? That's okay, it's a DLC. More of the same goodness of the original Cuphead is exactly what I was looking for. The OG Cuphead isn't a very long game, so when I beat it when it first came out, I wanted more, and Delicious Last Course satisfied that longing very nicely. Overall, I rate this game a must-play for any Cuphead fans. If you liked Cuphead, then come back to the world and join him and his bro in the Delicious Last Course. You won't regret it. Well, there you have it, Saiko. I played the DLC, but I still don't know why I had that dream. What? You think I dreamed about having a cup for a head because I wanted to give myself an excuse to buy and play the Delicious Last Course under the guise of research into my mental health? Oh, Saiko, you simple, cute, silly little monkey. I took Psychology 101 in college before I failed out, and I know dreams are more complex than that. No, I think I may never know why I had this dream. It'll be a mystery for the ages.